What's up, kiddos? I'm here at my house in my home studio, and I'm going to show you how to do jelly plate printing, which will be our next project. Okay, step by step, I'm going to have my fiance help me with the camera, and I'm going to show you on this 5x7 jelly plate. Okay, so first we have our jelly plate, and the first thing we're gonna do is create a mask. And for this mask, we're gonna keep it really simple. We're just going to tear some sheets of paper and use these papers. They're gonna create like windows in our print that we're making. Here's an example, and these windows where you can see the bright orange with no blue, that's where I had my paper laid down before. So again, I have laid down my paper, and now I'm going to take some acrylic paint. I'm going to start with blue this time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stencil. Let's see what I have over here. I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to lay the stencil on top, and I'm going to squirt a little paint onto it. And I'm going to use this tool, which is called a brayer, to roll the paint onto the plate. Using firm pressure, I'm going to make sure that it covers the entire plate. And then I'm going to peel off the stencil and put it in the soapy water. Okay, now is the hard part. We have to wait and let it dry. So let's let it dry for a minute and then we'll come back. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes since we took off the stencil, and I did use a piece of paper to fan it to kind of speed up the drying process. But we are dry now, and I'm gonna add my second color. I'm gonna go with this red color, and I'm going to squirt it directly on the plate, no stencil this time, and use my brayer, which I cleaned and dried, to spread it evenly over the plate. Uh-oh, lost one of my windows. Gonna try to stay away from that one. Hold on. Spreading it evenly so that it covers the whole plate. And then I can remove my windows, and you can see that none of the paint has gone under the mask, and the plate is still clear. Okay, now we have to let this dry for a minute, and then we'll do our next step. Okay, so now this layer has dried, and I have washed and dried my brayer again. Now I'm going to choose a second stencil, and I chose this one to go with my first one because the first one had this circular symmetry, and this one is also a circular pattern, so I thought they might create some unity in my design. I'm going to place it over the plate again. Use a third color. I'm going to go with yellow this time. And this time I'm going to focus mainly on where my windows are, where I laid that mask down, to really focus on those spots and make sure they get filled in, but the rest will not be as important because it's already covered in those other two colors. So I'm rolling out the yellow, making sure to cover where the mask was, and a little bit further out just to spread the paint thinner, but I'm not worried about covering the whole plate this time. Reveal that, and you guessed it, we have to let it dry. All right. Okay, this layer has dried. We're gonna do our final layer of paint now. I'm gonna use orange, and I'm going to spread it all over the entire plate again. My brayer is already orange because I'm working on a couple of these at a time. So I'm going to spread that evenly. Now, while this is still wet, and that is very important, while this is still wet, I'm going to lay my paper onto it. And then I have to let it dry for the longest amount of time because it has to dry completely through onto the paper. And it's not going to have any air touching it this time because the paper will be smothering it. So I'm going to take my paper. I'm going to very carefully lay it down. And then I'm going to gently rub in a circular motion, making sure to hit those corners and edges. And then I've got to wait. And this time I've got to wait about 20 minutes. Okay, so this time I'm going to wait about 20 minutes and then we get to reveal our print. If you want, you can take a little peek by flipping it over and you can see what it's going to look like, but it's not ready yet. So we have to wait to peel off the paper. I got a few wrinkles in there. I'm going to try to straighten those out. All right, we'll see it in 20 minutes. Okay, I got impatient and I couldn't even wait for my fiance to come over and do the video. I peeled the plate off. Here's the plate and here's the final result. Beautiful.